I want to talk this morning about the making of a prophet, using Jeremiah as an example. Not that necessarily you're all going to be prophets, but all the pattern, the components that the Lord put into His calling and His preparation and training, I think does apply to most of our lives, and it's a good study to learn from. I never really liked Jeremiah. I never really hardly read it. I'd get into it a little ways. It's like 52 chapters, first of all, so it's a big book. And it's just one dark prophecy after another, really heavy words against Israel. And so it's not an edifying read for me, and most of the book is that way. So I kind of read the first chapter, maybe the last chapter, and that was about as far as I got with Jeremiah. Then I felt like the Lord was stirring me up to inspire me, and so He was stirring me up to read Jeremiah. And when I acknowledged to Him that I didn't like the book and I didn't know how to read it, and there's no commentaries that, they're just so wooden and so dry, they just don't really speak to me. And I asked the Lord to show me how to study it, and I got this idea. This is before computers, if you can imagine a day before laptops. And I got this idea that I would photocopy the book of Jeremiah twice. I'd photocopy it normal, 52 chapters all the way through. That's a lot of photocopying. And I would photocopy it a second time a little larger. And I had this idea that I would take the first copy and I'd cut it out chapter by chapter, and anything that is just a dark, heavy prophecy, some kind of word against Babylon or Ethiopia or Egypt or whatever, Moab, I would keep that in small print. Anything that was a personal exchange between Jeremiah and God, anything that was a story about Jeremiah, like very few people suffered the kind of persecution that he suffered. And so those sections where he'd be talking to the Lord and the Lord would be talking to him as a person, I kept them in the large print, and in the small print, I even put some onion skin paper over it, so it just kind of faded a little bit. So I could go through 52 chapters. The large stuff was all personal things about Jeremiah, his talking to the Lord answering his questions, his training, his preparation, his persecution, how the Lord blessed everybody that helped Jeremiah during a time of persecution. They got a major reward, a prophet's reward. I was interested in that kind of thing, and I could actually not disrespect the deep, heavy prophecies. They were on the page, but they were in a smaller, less readable, less obvious text. But the exchange between Jeremiah and God, they were large, and I can go through them. Then I took a blue marker, and I just marked out every promise that I could find, and anything that the Lord was speaking to me. So we lived in a town that produced binders, and so I would buy these binders, and I'd write up a title, and all my photocopies, are here with my personal notes on it. And so I would just go through, and the parts that were really relevant to how to make a prophet, they would stand out, and the parts that were heavy and dark, were less obvious. And then computers came out, so then I put it in the computer, and it's all old fonts and daisy wheel printer and that kind of stuff. So I went through all different phases. I'm doing it again, but it's a profound book when you look at how Jeremiah related to the Lord and how the Lord related to him. And it really does illustrate profoundly how to cultivate your call. And that's what we're interested in talking about. Amen?